Now, the last step in reaching your target audience is to create materials and activities that are geared to that audience, whether it be a model or a brochure, whatever it is, even an event in some cases. You want to get your targeted audience to pick up the right material or see the right activity. Here, for example, we're at a community fair, and we've actually constructed a model of a sidewalk stormwater planter. That human figure is not to scale there, that little doll. That's about half as tall as it should be. But once these things grow with the appropriate plants and stormwater runoff is shuttled into this planter, then we get some infiltration through the bottom of it, and overflow still goes to a storm drain, but we have some retention because of the scale of these planters in the sidewalks. So in this case, this particular demonstration has attracted a lot of children, and if I have half a dozen other slides from this event, and we would have seen on another presentation that adults are also attracted to this kind of working model. Now here's some samples of some of the booklets we've created that are quite in-depth. In this case, a homeowner's guide to stormwater management, which includes tips on lawn and garden care, specifically reducing the size of lawn and substituting gardens, since gardens are generally well cultivated and will infiltrate more rainfall than a lawn. A so-called backyard buffer program, which targets homes that are backing up to some of the streams in the city, and then rain barrel workshops for residents all over the city in all sorts of neighborhoods in the city. Anybody can disconnect a downspout and run it through a rain barrel and provide some retention for us. Some similar ideas for business owners, looking at some of the larger business properties in the city and how they can lower their stormwater bills by implementing some green measures. We're finding this quite successful because our recently revised stormwater billing structure for commercial customers, which is based on property size and imperviousness, has provided our larger property owners with incentives, bill reduction incentives for customers to adopt some of our measures here in this guide. So we're getting a lot of response to this, thanks in large part to the reductions in stormwater bills that are possible by implementing green measures. A couple of our partnerships that I want to mention. Golf courses. We actually do have some golf courses within the city limits, but upstream of us, golf courses are the largest privately owned lands in the region, specifically in one of our watersheds, in the Schuylkill River watershed. Incredibly, well, again, this isn't in the city, but really upstream of the city. And so we're looking at, we've formed a partnership with the golf course associations and provided workshops and training on sound land management and reduction in use of fertilizers and pesticides. And we're having some success in getting golf courses to be more green, as it were. One of our most visible partnerships here in the city has been with our schools. We've published this guide to stormwater management on school campuses several years ago, and then followed this up by getting a partnership with the school district, which has literally hundreds of schools in Philadelphia. Next slide, please. And each of the schools has a schoolyard, and honestly, most of the schoolyards in the city look like this, without a leaf to be seen. I think this is partly done because of the popularity of basketball, and perhaps partly done because it's easier to maintain a paved surface than green surfaces for the school district. But we've successfully gotten a couple of pilot projects done. Here's one of those typical schoolyards after we've added some greening measures. That's porous pavement off to the right in various colors. It turned out the schoolyard was already sloped to the left side there, and so it was a natural place for a rain garden. So we're getting some infiltration there, and again, it overflows to the storm sewer when necessary. But or in this case, it's actually a combined sewer that's overflowing too. But obviously, this has a lot of appeal, at least to some of our residents surrounding the schoolyard. And in this particular case here, we've gotten volunteers from the neighborhood surrounding the school who will maintain the plantings. So the school district winds up with a green space with new playground equipment and a new surface and no more maintenance to do. In summary, it's always possible to get your messages to a target audience if you craft those messages properly and come up with the right materials. And the size of your community is not important. You can still segment your audience if you want to, and have really an efficient targeting of those messages to the audience. And I'll be glad to take any questions as well.
So once again, we have a poll now, and as you're thinking of your questions for the audience, which of the following have you used for your targeting of communications? Kids versus adults, businesses versus homes, neighborhood versus citywide? And meanwhile, Drew, a question that already came in for you. How did you get the word out to people to nominate their dogs for the Spokes Dog competition? And in particular, did you use Facebook or other social media?
Yes, we used social media. We used some of the traditional media with articles in some of the local community newspapers. Most neighborhoods in Philadelphia have a weekly newspaper that we can reach. So we reached those two local community papers in the neighborhood, and on our websites. Just people who happen to visit our website, they would see the announcement as well. Mm-hmm. And because we were using two of the TV reporters as judges, we also got that station to give us some citywide press on the event, which is great. So we targeted two neighborhoods, but we were able to reach the entire city. In fact, some of the region with some of that story.
Wow. Great. So here's the results of the polls. We've seen lots of targeting of schools versus adults, and we should have said versus senior citizens there. Lots of businesses versus homes. Less popular so far to do neighborhood-based communication.